Have you ever pulled up to a stop sign and the motorcycle feels like it wants to fall over to the left or right? Well, this week on MCrider, we're going to talk about stopping a motorcycle with correct technique, with better balance, and under more control. Hey, my name's Kevin. I'm the host here at MCrider, where I release a weekly video on motorcycle road skills or road strategy. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. You'll get notifications of every new video. It's finally getting warm enough and dry enough to get out of the garage and get out on a parking lot and demonstrate some of this stuff. So let's get out of the garage this week and we'll get on the Road King and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're out on a parking lot. I'm going to approach these two cones like I'm pulling up to a stoplight. See if you can tell me what 3 things I do wrong. Let's back it up and I'll give you one more look at it. So remember, this week we're talking about pulling up to a stoplight with proper technique and in more control. Did you catch the 3 things that I did wrong in this stop? If not, let's go back around and we'll look at them one at a time. The first problem I see with this stop is right here, putting both feet down when you come to a stop. And I see this one out on the road all the time. When coming to a stop, the best practice is most often to put the left foot down only. The reason for this is because it allows a rider to use both brakes during the stop and to complete the stop with the rear brake. When I'm out on the street, my right foot rarely goes to the pavement. It's almost always up on the peg or the floorboard. Now, there may be times when it's okay to use both feet, or even the right foot only during a stop, but those are the exception rather than the rule. Some exceptions may be if the road surface is uneven and you can't get your left foot down to the ground, or under heavy wind conditions you might want to put both feet down to help stabilize the bike. Because we're using both feet when we come to the stop, that forces our second problem with this stop, and that's completing the stop with our front brake only. Let's be clear, in an emergency situation, you always want to stop with the front and rear brake. It's going to allow the motorcycle to stop in the shortest distance possible. But when you come to these planned stops, like at a stoplight or a stop sign, you can stop smoother and with the motorcycle chassis more balanced by using the rear brake to complete the last few miles per hour of your stop. So let's take a look at that and see what it looks like in practice and see what effect that has on the chassis of the motorcycle. Let's perform the same stop from the same speed using the correct technique on the top and the incorrect technique on the bottom. And what I want you to pay attention to is the effect on the chassis, or how much the forks on the motorcycle compress when using the incorrect technique. So you can see how using the rear brake to finish the stop on these planned stops has a huge effect on the chassis or the balance of the motorcycle when you come to a stop. Have you ever stopped in the road and the handlebars turn to the left or the right and the motorcycle wants to lean or fall over in that direction? A lot of times it's because there's imperfections in the road that cause the handlebars to turn slightly, and because you're placing so much pressure on those front forks, it makes the motorcycle want to lean or fall in that direction. If you finish your stops or get in the habit of finishing your stops on these planned stops with the rear brake, motorcycle's going to be in a lot more control and a lot more balanced when you come to your stop. The third problem with this stop is I'm shifting to neutral during the stop, or sometimes you'll see riders shift to neutral after they stop. You always want to stop with the motorcycle in gear. That way you can get out of the way if a car's coming up behind you and is not able to stop in time. Let's recap our proper technique. We're putting our left foot down first at the stop. And this allows us to keep the right foot on the rear brake. We're initiating the stop with both brakes, but completing the final few feet of the stop using the rear brake. We're keeping the motorcycle in first gear, ready to move in case of emergency. In regards to using the rear brake for the final few feet of the stop, it's perfectly okay to use both brakes all the way through the stop, and that's exactly what you want to do in an emergency. But I think you'll find that the motorcycle stops better balanced and in more control if you'll experiment with completing the stop using the rear brake. So experiment with that out on the road. Tell me how it works out for you. Leave a comment below and tell me what you think about this technique. And until next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road. There are multiple ways to support the channel. You can become a member on YouTube at mcrider.com/member or support the channel through Patreon at mcrider.com/support. Either way, you'll get full access to the forum and the field guides, which will further the training that we release here on a weekly basis.